There's a view in the United States that some of the regulations coming out of the EU are meant to effectively try to break up, if they could, the U.S. tech giants. And I asked President Macron about what he thinks about the regulatory environment in Europe on big tech and what this all means for competition.
I think it's wrong, but it's normal when you are when you're government, an elected and democratic government, to provide guarantees to your people. For instance, if I want to provide guarantee on your privacy, the storage of your data, the use of your cloud, this is a sovereign and a very important and democratic issue. And as European governments, if your citizens use at 90% US platforms, what do you do? If you say, okay, I'm sorry, I cannot regulate this, I cannot guarantee your privacy because you use a platform which is not under my regulation. I mean, this is just completely changing our system and de facto to decide that we don't live in democracy anymore, but in a system whose the key elements are decided by a privately owned company in another geography. So I think the point is, I don't regulate you when you operate in US, fine. But just be sure that when you operate in the European continent, you have to respect European rules. And guess what? This is exactly the same when a European company operates in the US. Can you imagine 1 second that a US company will arrive, a European company will arrive, let's imagine a European bank, and it will decide not to respect the US regulation? Never, ever. This is the same. So we want to be respected, and we just want to say we have our collective preferences. We do believe in innovation, we do believe in digital world, but we think that privacy, we think that the respect of your data, these kind of elements, and this is why fake news as well with AI, everything which can jeopardize at a point of time our system of rule of law and our model of democracy, it's normal we want to protect them, and we put in place regulation for players. And by the way, European, US, Chinese, all the players.
I'm curious whether you think that TikTok is a national security threat to you here in France. That's what it's being described as in the United States, where it's likely to get shut down.
No, I think you can have big issues with the use of platforms or algorithm and so on, and I think this is a good debate. And this is a debate we raised in Europe with the directive and precisely on the digital activities.
But you don't think it's a national security threat?
DSA. I don't exclude at that point of time some issues, content, some could be part of. But we didn't use this approach, and we are neutral in terms of technology, nationality, and players. What we want to regulate is through the users. And for instance, any platform could be an issue if it provides threat to our children, bullying, hatred speech, if it doesn't guarantee the withdrawal in a reasonable time, this dangerous or unacceptable contents. And what we put in place is a regulation where we can penalize or shut down a platform if this platform doesn't respect these rules, but not in function of its nationality.
You just did that in the case in New Caledonia. And I
to be precise, in New Caledonia, this is a local government that did competence. And they did it because it was used, or let's say misused, by, for the riots by some very violent people. So we do respect, we didn't force or forbid the local government, it's their decision, and not the decision of the French government. But I think it was seen as useful given the misuse of the platform.
And you think it was the right decision?
I think it was given the very hot period of time, but it's not supposed to last. And I think in the hours or days to come, they will go back to the normal situation.
You just met with President Xi of China, and I'm curious what you think of this. Gina Raimondo, the Commerce Secretary in the United States, refers to China as, quote, the biggest threat we've ever had. Do you think that's the right way to talk about China?
Look, I think China is a competitor when we speak about trade, innovation, and economy. I think the pity is that we should work much more collectively in order to push them to be compliant with international rules, instead of deciding ourselves not to respect these international rules ourselves. I speak about trade rules and so on. So this is a competitor, a fierce competitor, and this is why, for instance, I do back the decision of the Commission to launch inquiries and so on when they have over-subsidies, over-capacities, when you don't have the same level playing field. But they compete and they are quite good in terms of creating innovations and producing. We were too naive till now, and today Europe is less protective to its economies than the US. So we have to adapt our strategy and be clear. But this is a competitor. Second, it's a rival in terms of values. When we speak about human rights, we don't have the same values and we have big disagreements. But third, this is a partner as well, and we need them. And it's impossible to fix climate change. It's almost impossible to fix as well as a big geopolitical crisis without engaging with China. And I think this is why we have to clarify our agenda in terms of trade and be clear and respectful, but defend our interests when we speak about these disagreements and trade and economy. But we have to do our best to engage them on the big issues of this world. Look, I mean, if the US didn't engage in 2015 with China, just forget Paris Agreement. We did this big progress on climate change with Paris Agreement because of a US-Chinese convergence on climate change. And this is true for biodiversity, for climate, peace, and so on. So in this regard, China is an important partner for the US, for the Europeans, and the rest of the globe.
I want to talk to you about climate change in just a second, but we are now 2 months before the Olympics. And one of the things that you got China to pledge was their support for a truce in Ukraine during the Olympics. Putin has said that he won't have a truce. What would have to change to get a truce?
Look, a truce is not, for me, the end game. Sustainable peace is the end game. But I think it's very important. First, this is a tradition, and it's very important to use this window during 1 month.
A tradition to have a truce during
the Olympic Games.
Right.
And I think this is a very good opportunity. First, diplomatically, precisely to engage with China and others and tell, okay, you're on the peace side. Get with us and help us to do so. And second, to maximize the level of pressure on those who decided to launch a war. And this is why I think this is a big clarification moment, because every week till now, President Putin was claiming to be available for peace. Right. The day we enter in real time, money time, I would say, for peace, even say, okay, are you ready to start 26th of July, the 12th of August? They say, no, I'm not ready. So for everybody in the world, it's clear. He's the one who decided to launch this war, and he is not ready to make peace.